It's your host, Dr. Morgan. Today's episode is a juicy one, and we have a neon sign, y'all. Okay. Those of you who've been with me on the podcast, you know that this has been a labor of love. This was something that I just decided to do. And I said, okay, if nobody listens to this, I'll stop after a year. And here we are, year 3. And we officially have a neon sign. So if you're watching this on YouTube, you'd be able to see the setup. It says, let's get vulnerable in the signature light teal. And my office setup is ready to go. Shout out to my partner. He helped me set all this up because tech is just not my thing. I would have had a total mental breakdown, but he walked me through it all and we did it. So yay, studio upgrade. I'm so excited about this episode. I've got a really good one planned for you. And like I said, if you prefer to watch this on YouTube, you want to see my hand movements and my facial expressions, head on over to YouTube. Otherwise, feel free to just listen to wherever you listen to me at. And this episode is going to really help you understand some of the key components on your healing journey. A lot of you know my story, but I think it's helpful to just kind of revisit. And what I want you to think about is that I'm no different than anyone, right? Like I grew up in small town Montana, had to work my way through college, didn't have access to mental health therapy, etc. And I had to find a way to heal, right? It was something that was all up to me. Nobody's coming to save you, and certainly nobody came to save me. And what I've realized is a lot of us have this journey, this thing called this healing journey, right? There's nuances to everyone's journey, right? There's your unique story, your unique wounding that happened, and there are things that are similar. There are things that are the same for every person's healing journey. If you're really doing it well, you're really truly wanting to have great relationships, there are things that I know that you need to learn and that you're going to go through because of things that I've gone through, and also things that I've had the pleasure of watching over 500 women go through, right? So I know a little bit about the healing journey, and I just want to share some of those milestones with you. And for me, growing up, losing my mom at a very young age, so 6 years old, and watching a lot of dysfunction in my adult relationships, experiencing neglect, experiencing a ton of instability at a young age, lots of internalized beliefs that I wasn't good enough, that I wasn't pretty enough, low self-worth from a very young age, so much people pleasing. My fear of abandonment was so strong that I would do anything to get people to like me, to not leave me. And then going on in my dating life, even from a young age, y'all, I started dating in middle school. Okay. I was like so wanting a man's attention and wanting to be wanted. I started dating in 6th grade. Okay. Obviously it wasn't like super serious, but I was just really craving that attention at an early age. And I went through relationship after relationship, reenacting the wounds that I experienced in childhood, where I would be very attracted to people who were unavailable and who couldn't really show up and who couldn't love me, and who also recreated the instability and chaos from my childhood, right? And this went on for decades. This went on until my late 20s. And I think what I realized is, for me, it took hitting rock bottom. It really did. A lot of you know I was in a relationship with a narcissist. for 18 months and I had a near-death experience. I was filing a police report and I was on the ground in the lobby of my apartment building filing this police report. And I just had this moment of, you keep going down this path, your life is going to continue to get darker and darker. And I don't know how much longer you're going to be on this planet if you continue to show up in the relationships the way that you have been. And then the alternative was, I got to do something different. I got to learn how to have healthy relationships and show up in a different way. And we're here today. So of course I chose the healing journey, and for me, it required rock bottom. I want to really emphasize, it doesn't have to require rock bottom. Okay. Please, if you know you're in pain, if you're aware of the suffering, you can learn from people like me, and hopefully you can avoid the rock bottom and you can make the decision to start your healing journey today. Okay. So please don't wait for your rock bottom. I've been there. It's scary. You can easily go the other way when you hit rock bottom. So decide early. And my story, while it's unique, has a lot of things that probably a lot of you relate to, right? I had terrible beliefs about myself, that I wasn't worth love, that I wasn't enough, that there's something wrong with me, that I would always be abandoned. I couldn't assert my needs. I couldn't set boundaries, etc. Relationships weren't safe. Relationships weren't stable. I need to be hyper independent in order to survive. Yet I also really crave closeness and having really, really close relationships. I'm sure a lot of you can relate to aspects of that, right? And there's things that show up because of that I want to walk you through. I want to talk to you about, okay, here's point A of the healing journey, and then here's point B. Where do we need to get to? So let's go through this list. I'm so excited to dive in with you. This might be a little bit painful. This might be a tough love episode for you. So if you notice yourself in any of these things, don't worry. It's okay. You're in the right place, right? It's okay. Awareness is always the first step. So the first thing I want to talk about as a sign that you need to start your healing journey, the first thing is that your self-worth is connected to your relationships. So this means that you associate your worthiness, how good of a person you are, whether you are enough, by your relationships. Do people like you? Are you in a close relationship? Are you happy and smiling like all these other Instagram wives? And you think that if you don't have that happiness and connection, or people maybe disagree with you, right? Like if you don't have that, then there's something wrong with you and you're not enough and you're broken. So that's the first sign, is that your self-worth is connected to relationships. And this one's sneaky, right? Because this also includes people-pleasing behaviors, that in order to be someone of high self-worth and someone who feels that they're enough, that everybody needs to like me, right? And there's a lot of childhood wounds connected to this belief. The second sign, we're cruising right along here. The second sign is your communication. Ooh, I want to call y'all out on this because I see this so much. If you have been through trauma, if you have experienced relational difficulties, I'm like clapping. You can hear that. It's so common that you will communicate in a passive or aggressive way, or a passive aggressive way. And those communication styles are also connected to a dysregulated attachment system, which we'll talk about. But it's so likely that you're not going to be able to openly and honestly, directly as well, express what you're feeling, what your needs are, what your preferences are. And this is because there's so much trauma associated to that. The fear of abandonment, or even the fear of, I don't need people. I don't want to depend on people. I'm not going to tell people how I feel, right? That's more avoidant attachment style. But your communication is going to be problematic before a healing journey. And this is one where we think we can just change it. Like, oh, if we have a script, if we just learn, maybe a workbook. The reality is, in order to maintain healthy communication, you need a belief upgrade and an identity upgrade. You have to do core work, but this is a really important sign. So be honest with yourself. Are you really communicating openly, honestly, directly? Are you able to communicate assertively? Or is your communication passive and aggressive? And y'all, this includes like gossip at the workplace. I am so over people not going directly to people and then just talking about someone behind their back. Maybe you're going to your other coworkers and talking about someone. When we are showing up as healed individuals and we're securely attached, we go directly to the source. Do you know how rare that is in today's world? And hey, I used to communicate passively aggressively too. So I'm not judging. I just think that there's so much opportunity for healing in our world, because a lot of the drama, a lot of the dysregulated nervous system, all of it could be really helped if people would just communicate openly, honestly, directly. And directly means to the person. You communicate directly to the person who your thoughts, opinions, your conflict, whatever, but you communicate to the person that it is about, to the person that it involves. Not going to your coworker, your aunt, your cousin, your significant other. Your poor significant other probably gets a lot of your stuff, right? And you can improve your romantic relationships when you learn to communicate directly to the people who your conflict is actually about. Okay, I should move on. I could go on and on about that. The third sign is no self-trust. No self-trust. And this one's huge. And this one so comes from trauma. And a lot of you, whether you have anxious attachment or avoidant attachment, you may not even realize that you're experiencing this. But signs of this are you struggle to know what you actually want. You always think about other people. You focus so much on work and achieving and being productive that you're not even tuned in to your emotional life, right? So when we are disconnected from our inner experience, we did so out of survival. And whether we decide to become highly independent and have more of an avoidant attachment approach to avoiding our inner experience, or we go the anxious attachment route and we're so focused on pleasing others and knowing what other people want, right? Whatever path you take, the harm is there when you're disconnected from yourself, and you've probably been chronically emotionally invalidated, right? To get to that point, you will struggle to make decisions in your life. You will struggle to feel good day to day. You probably experience a lot of fatigue. You probably experience physical symptoms. When you don't have self-trust, you don't know who you are. You haven't tuned in to know what you feel, what you want. It's a really painful way to live. And trust me, speaking from experience, once again, all of these points, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember what life was like when I was like that. And when I didn't have self-trust, I would be calling my friends all the time. I try to be in therapy twice a week. I was just so looking for people to tell me what to do because I didn't trust myself. I had no sense of, I do know best, right? I didn't even know what I was feeling. So I want to encourage you, if you struggle with making decisions, or maybe you're just so hyper focused on career and achievement and being productive that you don't even know what you're feeling. If you have physical symptoms like fatigue and feeling off all the time, if you notice those things, you might be struggling with self-trust. Okay. Moving on, although that's such an important one, the fourth thing I want to share with you is you probably have a dysregulated attachment system. And those of you who have been fans of the pod for forever, you know this one. Your attachment system is the part of your brain that tells you how to show up in relationships and what to do to maintain connection. This is your thoughts, your behaviors, your feelings, the way you communicate. It's all of it under this attachment style umbrella, and it informs the way you go about relationships. And for so many of us, this was not something that was created for us in childhood, as in, we did not have a secure attachment childhood. So we didn't have the model of how to have a healthy attachment style, right? And as adults, it's all about how can you become securely attached despite the wiring of your brain, the wiring of your nervous system, your thoughts, your beliefs, your behaviors about relationships. Despite all that, how can you have a clean slate and learn to embody the securely attached version of you? And obviously, this is what I've dedicated my career to. This is what has completely transformed me as an individual and brought wonderful things into my life, not just my incredible partner, but so many wonderful aspects of my life come from me being the securely attached version of me. Sorry guys, I have such bad allergies. I don't have a cold, but I just have allergies. I'm sure y'all could hear it. So I'm doing my best. We're getting through it. But if you notice I sound different, that's what it is. Who else had the worst allergies this year? Okay, it's been so bad. But that secure attachment system is going to completely change your life if you don't have it. And obviously, listen to some of my past episodes, but you'll know if the way that you go about relationships is, I am always thinking about how are they going to end? I'm always afraid. Am I going to be abandoned? I am on pins and needles. I have upset stomach. I'm so anxious, right? When I'm entering into a relationship, you probably have anxious attachment. And if you are thinking, I don't want to get close to this person, I'm going to be the cool girl, I'm going to play hard to get, I don't need anyone, I don't want to define things, oh, we got too close, I'm going to go spend 2 weeks apart from this person. And you notice that you engage in a lot of distancing strategies, then you may have avoidant attachment style. And if you have a mixture of both, congratulations, you may have disorganized attachment, which is what I was experiencing when I had a dysregulated attachment style. And that's also very painful. So when your attachment style is working against you, you know, because you logically know what you should do in relationships, but your mind and your body and your nervous system and your behaviors and your way of communicating are doing things that are sabotaging you. So even though you logically know, oh, I should be calm and cool and collected, your brain is going alert, alert, right? Danger, danger. And you're showing up in ways that you know aren't healthy. Let's be real. Like we know, okay? We know that we are the common denominator. As much as we would love to sit around with our girlfriends and blame the guy, and sure, there are people who also are unhealed, right? But a lot of times there's things that you're bringing, right? And that falls into your attachment style. Okay, the fifth sign that you need to start your healing journey, and this is one that I haven't talked about as much, but I want to talk about more. I want to talk about disproportionate responses to relationship triggers. There's so much here. I'm going to give you two perspectives on this one, okay? Number one, well, let's actually just understand what it is first, and then I'll give you the perspectives. So disproportionate responses are when you experience overreaction. I don't like that term because it feels invalidating. So I'm not saying that it's overreaction, like you're being too much. That's not what I'm saying. It's disproportionate in that what happened in the relationship did not warrant the level of response that you had, right? And this is a disproportionate response. This is definitely connected to unhealed childhood wounds, to a dysregulated attachment system, and repetition compulsion, which I'll talk to you about. So, example, let's say your partner doesn't text you back for 3 hours, and you were talking and you asked them a question, and then you didn't hear back for 3 hours. And then you proceed to send a ton of messages. Oh, hope you're having fun with your new boyfriend, girlfriend. Hope you're gonna just go live your best life. Like, you're very passive aggressive. Like, wish you the best. It was nice knowing you, whatever, right? Like, okay, that I'm exaggerating here, but that's an example of a disproportionate response. Guess what? That has nothing to do with what happened, because if you were operating from secure attachment, you would say, oh, okay, I'm just going to gather the data, see what happens. This person may or may not get back to me. I'm sure they have a reason, right? You assume the best with secure attachment. I'm sure they have a reason. We trust and then verify with secure attachment. And this disproportionate response where you tell them to go have a nice life, there's two perspectives here on where that can come from. One, repetition compulsion. You are working out your childhood wounds in your adult romantic relationships. So that no response triggered in you wounding from your childhood relationships. And it wasn't even about your partner. It was about your dad or your mom or your primary caregiver, or even an earlier romantic partner, maybe one of your first boyfriends or girlfriends. So there's the repetition compulsion aspect. The other factor for a disproportionate response is your nervous system. And this one's been researched more and more. It's why we see so much breath work and meditation, because people realize the power of the body. And what it is your nervous system going into fight, flight, or freeze, right? And the body learned at that early age, when you experience the wounding, the body learned to respond a certain way. So fight, flight, or freeze. And that can be triggered for you in a way that doesn't match what's actually happening. The trigger itself, right, could have you go into fight, flight, or freeze, even if your securely attached adult self would find that completely unnecessary, right? If you were able to have a third party look in on it and go, wow, you went into freeze because of that, right? That's trauma. That's the unhealed wounding. That's your nervous system being trained to respond a certain way. And that can lead to disproportionate responses. One thing I'll add to this too, and gosh, this could be its own episode, probably should be. One thing I'll add to this is a lot of people talk to me about this with anger. Ooh, I get goosebumps when I think about that. The clients that come to me and say, I'm so freaking angry. And the anger will come because the barista got your order wrong, or the anger will come because somebody looked at you a certain way. And that is so, so common when we have these wounds that haven't been healed and we have this anger that hasn't been expressed directly to who it's meant for. So then it comes out sideways. Okay. So just to review, that was a lot, but I'm going to go over these signs with you again. The first thing we talked about was that and these are the signs that you need to start your healing journey, just to remind you. Okay. The first sign was your self-worth is connected to your relationships. The second sign is passive aggressive communication, non-direct communication. The third sign, no self-trust. The fourth sign is a dysregulated attachment system, whether that's anxious, avoidant, or disorganized. And then the fifth sign is disproportionate responses, AKA your nervous system is going into flight, fight, or freeze, or you're experiencing repetition, compulsion, or both. So those are the signs. Be honest with yourself. Do you relate to any of those? Is that where you're currently at? And if you are, I want to invite you to do the work. There's so many ways that you can. Obviously, the Empowered.Secure.Loved program now has a track record of over 500 women totally changing their lives. And I want to invite you to consider that option, apply to the program today. We have great offers in the summer, so don't miss out on that. And you so deserve to do this work on yourself, because you get to have a life where relationships feel good, relationships feel easy, you're attracting the relationships you've always wanted. And it's not just about that, it's about how you feel, right? It's like, yes, having a great relationship is wonderful, but having high self-worth, having confidence, knowing your value, communicating well, this impacts you in every area of your life, your financial life, your work life, your health and fitness. You deserve to make these changes, yes, for how they impact relationships, and also for the version of you that you become when you heal. Do not carry around your childhood wounds in adulthood. Been there, done that. I know a lot of people that have done that even up until their 60s. And then when you decide to do this work, it's like a rebirth. It's like a whole new way to live your life. So I would just want to invite you, if you've been on the fence, if you've been waiting, this is your sign, right? If you related to any of those things I shared, this is your sign. It's time for you to do the work. And I want you to obviously realize that you get to have the opposite of all those signs I mentioned. So you get to have your self-worth not be impacted by your relationships. You just know that you're enough, right? You are enough because you are. You have radical self-love and radical self-acceptance. Obviously, you get to have assertive, open, honest, direct communication. Life feels good. Life feels easy when we show up that way. We're in integrity. We're direct. Life's just easy when you communicate assertively. High levels of self-trust, right? That was number 3, right? Instead of having no self-trust, you have high levels of self-trust. Decisions are easy. Relationships are easy. It helps things feel really good in your life. Also a secure attachment style. Number 4, you get to embody the securely attached version of you, feels confident in relationships, who makes good relationship decisions, who's not constantly worried about, ooh, am I going to find my person? Am I doing things wrong? Am I dating incorrectly? The securely attached version of you knows her worth and is able to easily attract the relationships that she wants and then maintain those relationships for life. So embodying secure attachment and obviously having a calm, regulated nervous system, and you're responding to things appropriately. No more disproportionate responses, right? So I want all of that for you. I don't want you to wait on your healing. Obviously, this is a great time to join the Empowered Secure Love program. We have our securely attached summer offers. Those are limited to the summer only, so don't miss out on those. You get great bonuses, and we have payment plan options that we've never offered before. So there's no excuse. This is the time to start the Empowered Secure Love program. And you can apply, you can learn everything you want about the program. There's no commitment. This is a free consultation call. So that link is in the show notes. It's also in my Instagram bio. So just find out more about the program. You deserve to take that action for yourself. And obviously, there's also other programs out there. There's so many ways to do this work. I want to invite you to do it. Don't wait. Do it. Your life that you want is on the other side of you taking action. And action has to be messy. It's never going to feel like the perfect time. It's never going to feel like, ooh, I have everything lined up and this is it. And I'll have all the time in the world to devote to this. And I'm totally financially stable. And no, like you have to take messy action to get the life that you want. My first coaching program I invested in myself felt so scary. I wasn't ready for it. I didn't have the time. I didn't have the money. And I found a way to do it. And just by doing that, I completely changed my life. And I even taught myself, look, I can show up for me when it's important. I can take action to change my life. And that was the start to me getting where I am now and having the life that I have and the partner that I have, the beautiful home that I have, the business that I have, all started with me taking messy action. So I want to encourage you, if you've been waiting for the perfect time, there's no perfect time. Apply to the program today, get more information. And I would be honored to support you on your healing journey because I've been there myself. I get it. I know how hard it is. And I do have such a heart for watching people transform. I've been so lucky to witness so many people transform, and I would be honored to support you as well. And also, I know that this program that we have is unique. We have the clinical expertise, we have the science of attachment theory, we have one-on-one coaching support, and we have a proven framework that guides people through transformation on an identity, belief, behavior, thought, attachment style level. And I honestly do not know of any other programs that do that. So I just want to encourage you that you're in good hands and there's a reason you're listening to this today. So if you feel called, make sure you apply today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I know we talked about a lot. We talked about the signs that you need to start your healing journey. And I want to invite you also, if you liked this episode, come to the live event I am hosting. I have a live event coming up on Friday, July 21st. I'll be live inside of the Successful Women Great Relationships Facebook community. And I'll put that link in the show notes as well. But I'm going live. I'm answering your questions. It's going to be a really fun event. And I'd love to answer your personal questions. So come live and it's going to be fun. Anything goes, by the way. This is like ask me anything. There's no dumb questions. Any question you have, I'm here for it. And we're going to have fun doing it. All right. I appreciate you all. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I am, of course, wishing you high self-worth and great relationships. I'll talk with you soon.